It's time for part 2 of chapter 1 of the Creakers. Back to the day it all began. Out in Lucy's street, Clutter Avenue, she noticed instantly that things weren't right. Usually there was a long line of traffic clogging up the road as mums and dads took their kids to school and went to work and drove to the post office and the hairdressers and did all the boring stuff that grown-ups do. But today the road wasn't busy. It wasn't just not busy, it was completely deserted. Not a single car. Lucy looked left, then right, then left again, then right again. She repeated that about 20 more times, which I won't bother to write down because that would just be silly. But when she had finished, she was convinced she was right. Something weird was definitely happening in Whiffington town. Oh, what the jiggins is going on? She said to herself. What the jiggins, indeed, Lucy. Where was Mr. Ratcliffe, the wrinkly old man who did yoga in his front garden? In his underpants. He claimed it was the secret to staying long. Where was Molly, the milk lady who delivered fresh bottles of milk from her electric van? Where was Mario, the Italian man from the next street who jogged past every morning in his skimpy lycra shorts? Where was everyone? That's when Lucy heard a noise. Her heart leapt. Was it her mum? A long, slow creak came from somewhere along Clutter Avenue, followed by a sudden clang. Hello, Lucy called. Mama? A small voice asked from behind the garden fence 2 doors down. Oh, Ella, it's you. Lucy sighed in relief as Ella Noying appeared. First, her bouncy afro hair peeped out into the street, followed by her round cheeks and her big, deep brown eyes that always managed to get her out of trouble. She was wearing bright pink pyjamas made of shiny silk with her initials embroidered on the pocket. In one hand was a pair of pink, heart-shaped designer sunglasses. Lucy never saw Ella anywhere without those. Lucy, I can't find Mama or Papa, and my avocado needs mashing, Ella whined. Before Lucy could reply, another door opened across the street. Dad, whispered Norman Quirk, a boy from Lucy's year at school, as he hesitantly stepped into his front garden. Norman was dressed in his pristinely ironed, meticulously clean Scout uniform, which was covered in the most achievement badges Lucy had ever seen. Here is a list of some of Norman's badges. A tree climbing badge, a tent pitching badge, a badge for spreading butter on toast all the way to the edge, the indoor challenge badge, the outdoor challenge badge, the shake it all about door challenge badge, a bed making badge, a cake baking badge, an eating the cake you bake in the bed you make badge, the remembering to wash your bed button badge, and even a badge for collecting lots of badges. But there were a few empty spots on his uniform he needed to fill with new badges. Oh, hi, good morning, civilians, Norman said nervously, holding up 3 fingers in a Scout salute before fiddling with his neatly combed, mousy blonde hair. With his other hand he covered his mouth to hide his train track braces. You haven't seen my dad, have you? He asked, scooping a handful of mud from his front garden and sniffing at it as if trying to pick up his dad's scent. When Norman bent down, Lucy caught sight of his Transformers socks. Ella giggled at him. Not really in a mean way, but just because she found Norman sort of funny. Everyone did. Norman was different. Sometimes people who are different get laughed at, but it's always the different ones who make a difference. Lucy heard her dad's voice say in her head. He had his own way of looking at things. On cloudy days he'd tell Lucy, The sun just needs a holiday so it can shine brighter tomorrow. When she came second to her friend Georgina in the sack race on sports day, he told her, "Oh, don't be upset. You just made your friend really happy." And when she asked him if he liked being a bin man, he said, "You'd be surprised what people throw away, Lucy. One man's rubbish is another man's favourite pair of black boots." And he clicked his heels together with a wink. "No, I've not seen your dad, sorry," Lucy said, shaking off her daydream about her own father and elbowing Ella to stop her laughing. "My mum's missing too." Suddenly another door opened and Sissy McNabb ran out into the street in tears. Then Toby Cobblesmith, who had his shoes on the wrong feet. Next out came William Trundle and Brenda Payne, searching for their mum and dad. Then another kid and another, until one by one every child in Withington town came stumbling out of their houses in their PJs, dressing gowns and slippers, trying to find their parents. Nans and granddads, aunts and uncles, they were all gone too. There wasn't a single grown-up to be seen. There was such a kerfuffle in Clutter Avenue. Some children were crying, others were laughing, and a few were still asleep and in bed. I hadn't noticed anything yet. "What's going on?" they shouted. Well, the ones that were awake. "Where are our parents?" they called. "What are we going to do?" they yelled. Lucy took a breath and tried to think. "What would my mum do?" she said to herself. "How did my mum find out what was going on in the world?" Then, before she knew what she was doing, Lucy found herself clambering onto the steps of her dad's stinking rubbish truck, and above the noise she yelled, "The news!" There was silence. Everyone turned to look at Lucy. "Oh, we have to watch the news. I know it's super boring, but whenever my mum wants to know what's going on in the world, she always watches the news," she told them. The children looked at each other, uncertain. "I'm sure you know the news is the biggest snorefest on TV," but Lucy had a point. "She's right," Norman whispered to Ella, too frightened to say it out loud. "She's right!" Ella shouted, not frightened of anyone. "To the television!" they all cried in unison, and every child on Clutter Avenue in Withington town pushed past Lucy and piled into her house. In a matter of seconds her living room was full from carpet to ceiling with scared children in their PJs. There were children sitting on the floor. There were children sitting on the children sitting on the floor. There were even children sitting on the children sitting on the children sitting on the floor. They were all terrified, mainly because their parents were missing, but also a little bit freaked out because they were about to watch the news without being made to. Lucy switched on her TV. "Have you got any popcorn?" asked a child sitting on the floor. "Sorry, I don't think we do," Lucy replied. "Chocolate hobnobs?" asked a child sitting on the floor. "No chocolate hobnobs either. Mum doesn't buy those anymore, not since... Oh, well, never mind, we just don't have any." "You mean we have to watch TV without any snacks?" moaned Ella, who was sitting on the sitting on the floor. "Okay, I'll see what we've got," promised Lucy, whizzing off to the kitchen. She returned a few minutes later with all the boxes of cereal from the cupboard and handed them around the room. "Take a handful and pass it on," she said, and got back to finding the 24-hour news channel. The moment it flicked on, her heart stopped. "Oh no!" Lucy cried. "Look!" The crowd of children all spat out their cornflakes and Cheerios in shock, showering the room with chewed bits of soggy cereal. On the TV they could see the normal news desk, the normal sheets of paper and the normal coffee mug. But there was something very not normal about it. The news presenter was missing. Ella pushed through to the front. "Try another TV channel. Maybe your TV is broken, Lucy. Don't you have a TV repair badge?" she demanded, turning to Norman. He tried his best to hide when everyone looked at him. Perhaps I could take a look, he said sheepishly as the children nudged him across the room towards the telly. Oh, sorry. Oh, oops. Well, watch out, he muttered as he stepped on almost everybody's fingers. Well, why isn't it working? Ella said, bashing the remote on the side of the TV. Well, I actually do have a badge in TV remote control functions, and as the only member of the Whiffington Scout Troop present today... Aren't you the only member of the Scout Troop full stop? Asked Ella. Everybody laughed. Norman sat down, looking defeated, on what he thought was the arm of the sofa, but it was actually the head of another child sitting on another child. Here, just do your best, Lucy said, taking the remote from Ella and handing it to Norman. Norman smiled at her, for once forgetting to hide his braces. He flicked through a few channels, hoping to find a grown-up of any kind looking back at them. Silly Sunrise the Kids Show had no Funzo the Clown getting pied in the face today. Wakey Wakey Whiffington had no Piers Snorgon, although that was probably an improvement. Norman flicked through the sports channel, the shopping network, the cooking shows, Whiffington weather, and just about every channel he could think of. Not a single one of them had a single grown-up. It was almost as if every adult on the planet had just disappeared overnight, from Lucy's mum to the news presenter. They had all just gone. Oh dear. What are they going to do? I'll see you soon and we can find out together.